strange week in terms of football, but loads to talk about.
Mate, you've got a narrower backside than me, so you'll fit in the chair comfortably. You'll be fine. You can relax, mate. No, it's good to have you with us. Good to be on your show. Thank you. I'm just waiting for our Facebook to kick in so I can start seeing people make comments. Get your comments in on Facebook Live. I don't know if we're on YouTube, but I think we will be on YouTube. So somebody would scribble it down with the old traditional pen and paper and get it to us. But we're just going to chew the cud for half an hour or so about the Borough. Season's finally started. That's the main thing. You know, how pleasing is it to get some football, you know, to sit, you're not playing anymore, but to get some football under the belt?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important for the area. It's important for the town, the supporters. I think more exciting, you know what I mean? It's been a long, long time since the Coventry game, the disappointment. So to try and get some positivity back, and obviously it didn't start fantastically well on Saturday, but I think more importantly to get a big solid crowd, you know, that the excitement's still there, which I think is important. You know what I mean? The lack of signings the fans weren't put off, and then to win the last game in midweek against Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup, I think was important. It's important for to keep that positivity, keep the good things happening for the club, for the fans, for the managers, for the players. Yeah. More importantly,
not the best of starts. We'll pick up with the season opener, Millwall at home. They're always a good team to spoil a party, aren't they, Millwall? Yeah. They snarl, they spit, they scrap, they fight. You know, they're not a... I might be doing them some disrespect here. I'm going to say they're not the prettiest and glamorous of sides. So, a huge surprise they upset the Borough's opener?
No, not particularly. No, I think there was a lot going for them, a lot going against us. You know what I mean? The drama with Akpom, the drama with not signing players. Millwall had a disappointment not getting in the playoffs. Millwall's chairman obviously passed away during the summer as well. So I think there was a lot of things riding on the game for them. And I think, you know, with what I've just talked about there, the things going off the pitch, I think if there was a team to come and beat us, it was probably going to be them. I think the tactics were spot on. They got things right. The hit us with a counter attack time after time, and the pace that he had was outstanding. We lacked ideas. We lacked a bit of nous, really, a bit of experience, and a bit of quality. And yeah, I think the mistakes that we probably made tactically, I think, were rectified and improved a couple of days later, really.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that the glaring difference, look, we held the ball. We did it last year. This is Carrick's style of play. Get the ball, keep hold of it, move it quickly. I think that's one of the big differences that we've seen in previous years. Maybe we didn't move it as quickly against Millwall as we've seen them do last season. But the glaring difference to me was is the amount of teeth that each side had up front. When they came forward, they looked sharp. Yeah. They looked dangerous. When we went forward, despite all the possession, I really didn't see a goal coming from us. I know there was one ruled out. Yeah. But I really didn't see us scoring.
It just seemed massively tapered, you know. I think that when they attacked us, they attacked with numbers, with aggression, with pace, with power. When we attacked at them, it was like we were prodding them and poking them and not really getting the bite that we needed. And if that was personnel, if that was we just finding our feet and a bit nerves with a big crowd, sometimes you can play away and get through a game like Millwall did with the adrenaline and with everything against you. But no, I think there were so many things that we can work on, and it's the start of the season. If we're going to lose a game, get it out of the way early doors and learn from it very quickly. Like, hopefully we probably have done.
I'm sure you've been involved over the years with opening day defeats. Yeah. How do players respond to that? Obviously disappointed to lose any game, but is it like, oh no, it's one? I don't know. Is there any significance to losing that opening game?
And listen, you want to get off to a good start. You want to win the first game of the season. You want to start the season with confidence and be that team to be shot down. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I think then you're desperate for the next game, and thankfully we had a game 2 days later and managed to get a victory. But I think the most important thing is to learn from mistakes and keep improving your fitness, keep improving certain aspects. And the manager's still trying to pick his best side. And I think probably for the next 2 or 3 games, I think we'll probably see a different personnel, different maybe formation, and some new ideas from the coaching staff. Because I think until he brings in his own players, we're struggling in terms of what our best side is.
Yeah. Signs. I mean, positive signs in that game. What were the positive signs?
I thought the goalkeeper did well. Yeah. I thought he was positive. I thought defensively, I thought we looked good apart from the goal. And I'll probably pick out Paddy that he shouldn't have dived in. He shouldn't have made a rash mistake for somebody so good and so experienced. But apart from that, I couldn't see them scoring as well as how dangerous they were. I thought we were a lot better, and hopefully we can learn from that and build on the good that we did really defensively.
Yeah. I suppose there were some negatives. I mean, Tuba's on the bench. I don't know how much we talked about this, didn't we, last week? Wouldn't be surprised if Tuba wasn't on the bench just to make some sort of statement. I don't know whether Carrick would put a player on the bench to make a statement to the fans, but you know, we could have done with him up front. We could have done an all guns blazing Tuba because, I really didn't see a goal coming. And there's a lot of talk now, and we'll come on to this, about, you know, many clubs are now showing their hand in being interested in Tuba. We're talking about offers in the region of about 8 million or expected offers in the region, which isn't enough. But there's every chance he might move on now. So what do we have to do to overcome that problem we saw against Millwall, which was we couldn't score goals?
I think the scoring goals is probably the easier part. I think creating the chances was a difficult thing. I think especially on Saturday that we lacked creativity, we lacked the movement up front, we lacked any kind of presence. I think Rodgers is a player that the manager seems to like, and he seems to be giving him a little bit of airtime, a little bit of game time, which is important. But you need that focal point, that personnel, the reputation. It scares people. Akpom, for rightly or wrongly, he scares people because he's got the vast amount of goals. Putting him on the bench, I didn't see the point in putting him on the bench unless you're going to utilise him and use him. Yeah. Worried me a little bit that happened, but we called it, and we said it could happen, and it does happen. And unfortunately, it was a decision to be made to probably scare the opposition, to get the fans on side a little bit, and I think it backfired a little bit because I think the criticism and the comments afterwards because of that is created a negative impact around the area and around the supporters really. How
much of a situation has it brought that? Okay, he's fit enough to be on the bench against Millwall, but then we don't see him against Huddersfield. Is it just fueling the fans' fears that he's going to be leaving?
Yeah. I think it's a tough one. Was it there to keep other interested parties that he's available, he's fit, he's healthy? Was it for that, or was it to try and keep the fans happy? Was it to try and keep the players happy? Was he available? And was it just not the game to bring him on in the way the game was going? You know what I mean? He's a goal scorer. We needed a goal. So for me, I'm going to rule out the last one. It was just disappointing because for me, if you're on the bench, you're fit to play. If you're fit to play, you're fit to start. You know what I mean? Can you play 30 minutes, 60 minutes? You know, it was disappointed, but you know, I think the quicker a decision's made, if a club has come and put a bid in for him, like the rumours are today that Lens have, or Ajax are now interested. He's got some real offers on the table if they are real. But I think a decision needs to be made. We either keep him and stick by him for the rest of the season, and he leaves on a free, or we cash in and use that money to go and bring in a replacement.
Yeah, let's get to some of the comments, and please get them in on Facebook Live. We'd love to read them out. Stu Gawley, evening lads. Before we go any further, we've got to do it, haven't we? We've got to do the ceremonial signing, because Stu Gawley last week, where is it? Stu Gawley last week won this delightful thing. I don't know which camera you're on, Kofi. The wide camera. Okay, so you know, Stu got this. It's going to wing it to it. Sure, you silly Canada, mate. You have to send us your address. So we need the ceremonial signing, because he sent us a message right in the back end of the show saying, "Can Andy sign it, please? Do you want it on the table?"
No, I'll just put it in.
Look, I've never signed the autograph in my life. You're quite used to this. Yeah. Look at this. Didn't know you could. He whiffed him, mate.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So there you go, Stu. He scribbled all over it, mate. Brilliant. We'll get that to you. You need to DM us your address where we can send it. So Stu's with us. Lots more with us. Jamie, Steve, good to have you with us. Timmy, Ray, Claire's with us. Tracy, Brian. Phil Batcher, regular with his comments. Talking about Sammy Silvera. Must start on Saturday. Piero behind Foss with McGree on the right. We'll come on to that, mate. We will definitely come on to that, I promise you. Damon LaRoche, good evening, lads. Sammy Silvera was outstanding in our cup match. Also, Riley McGree, when he came on, was good. But going back to that Millwall game, we shouldn't have lost that game. End of. Good Teesside phrase there, mate.
You're right, and I think the point is, when you're playing in a game like that and you're lacking certain things in the game, that you take a draw, you run away with a 0-0, and you take it on the chin, and just it was a nothing game in terms of chances created, apart from Jeng's saving at the second half from the through ball and the one-on-one. But apart from that, they didn't really bother us as well as apart from hitting us on the break and causing us problems out wide with the pace. But for me, You know, I mean, sometimes you've got to see a game out and keep clean sheets. We said this, the importance of Karanka when he built his team on clean sheets and nicking a goal and winning 1-0. And I think I'd like to go back to seeing as being a little bit more hard to beat. And a little bit in terms of, I think defensively, I think we look really good defensively. I was quite impressed. But we just didn't have anything else going forward, and we didn't look like we were going to score. So we need to score goals in order to keep clean sheets, because at the minute we need 2 or 3 to score. You know what I mean? Like we did the other night, we had to do it the weekend. And I think I would like us to be able to build and not be as too expansive. But at the minute we haven't got either. So I think it's...
Last season, though, we could go goal down, but we had the confidence knowing we probably would score 2.
Yeah, totally.
Or 3.
Yeah.
And it might come in a purple 15-minute sort of patch. That's how we seemed to play last season. But too much talent has left.
Yeah.
We don't have the archers,
Yeah.
etc. We don't have to rattle through them. You know, we don't have the service coming into Tuba. And we have signed, we've signed promising players, we've signed development players, but one who's caught the eye, Sammy Silvera. And now he came on a sub against Millwall, looked bright.
Yeah, he did.
Then got his chance against Huddersfield and certainly looked bright.
Yeah, no, listen, he's got things that you can't coach. He's got the pace, he's got the directness, he's got the confidence, and we need to instill that more. We need to make sure that can. We need to give him the ball. You know what I mean? I thought him and Jones frightened the life out of Huddersfield Town. And when you've got pace and you've got trickery and you've got people driving in the box, you make things happen. You know, and I think Millwall did it to us and we did it to Huddersfield. So I think if we can utilise that moving forward, we can scare teams. But we need that focal point as well, because attacking players, and I was one of those players who came out from the wide with pace, that I need someone to hold the ball up for me in order for me to run behind. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to keep on coming back and keep on coming back. You don't get fed with the balls, and you look like a poor player because you're not getting the balls in the right areas where you need. So we do need that Akpom type of figure who can unlock the door as well.
Yeah, I know Ryan Invictus. Sorry, I do apologise, Rye, who's going to be on the breakfast show on the Red, by the way, very soon. He's going to be the Borough rep on the breakfast show. He obviously had a field day with the Aussies.
Yeah.
Had a real field day with the Aussies, with Riley McGree coming in and scoring as well. So that was good to see. But am I going to be a bit of a naysayer here? You know, 3-2 against a Huddersfield side who are down to 10 men. Should it have been more convincing than that?
I think we were quite fortunate that we obviously went one down early doors, and then they got a man sent off after 14-15 minutes, and I think that settled the boys down. It got us back into the game straight away. My worry was if we didn't get that man sent off, what would have happened, because we were already on the back foot. We'd already let a sloppy goal in. Things weren't looking forward. We were lacking confidence, and we can't afford to let something out of our own control give us that helping hand. We need to, from the off, we should have been bang on. We should have been 1-0 up instead of being 1-0 down. You know what I mean? We need to start games better. We didn't start great against Millwall. We didn't start great against Huddersfield. We need to start games better, because giving a good side a 1-0 lead, giving a poor side a 1-0 lead, sometimes can even be harder. Neil Warnock will have been disappointed with the red card. He'd have built his side on being 1-0 up, making sure they hang on as long as they possibly can. And you know, I mean, the longer that game went on, and we got the first, we got the second half, we got the third through Riley, which is fantastic. But then we go and switch off again, and we go and give another goal away. We can't afford to paper over the cracks a little bit, and we need to make sure that we blow teams out the water with the quality we've got. We've got a really good squad. We've got really good players. We've got young, energetic footballers. We've got loads of talent. Yes, we've lost loads of players, but we've still got a talented bunch. But to beat Huddersfield 3-2 against 10 men, it should be better.
Yeah, well, I'm pleased with the win, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Absolutely delighted we're through, and we're going to be playing Bolton away. Reminiscent of the final, but two completely different clubs and teams.
Yeah, totally.
You can see the stats on the screen. 76% possession against Huddersfield. That was on the back of 67% possession against Millwall. You've got to say Millwall are a better team than Huddersfield. They look handy. Yeah. So we're still doing the same stuff as we did last year. Yeah, I go back to the point. We still haven't replaced the quality that we are now lacking. So a couple of more comments. Good to see Martin with us. Good to have you, Martin. Damon, we mentioned. Alan's with us. Lee's with us. Timmy Leach, I believe Akpom may be away. This contract episode has gone on far too long, in my opinion.
No, totally. Listen,
Can't disagree, can you?
Listen, we would have loved... I think the club's got to take responsibility. You know what I mean? The agent's got to take responsibility. If the player wants to stay, he goes to the club and expresses an interest of wanting to stay. So it doesn't start with the club, it starts with the player sometimes. So I think everyone's got a collective responsibility here. And for whatever reason, both parties haven't been keen to get something sorted out, because the figures might be so far away, it's scary. You know what I mean? The player might want to go and play at the highest level, Champions League, Premier League. So I think sometimes you've got to make sure that it's right for everybody, and if it's going to be right for the club, then the price has got to be right as well. So
Do we as fans have to be realistic here about the situation? Because I suppose there's two ways of looking at it. One is he hasn't had great seasons previously, and the club stuck by him, and he's now had one purple season.
Yep.
So is there a bit of a favour owed by Akpom to the club? I suppose the other way of looking at it is, well, he's hot potato now, and he's almost 30 goals in a season. EFL's Player of the Year, top scorer in the Championship. Is it time to cash in? I mean, which way should we be looking at it as fans?
See, I think from a supporter's point of view, we've got to see it from the club's point of view, and from the club's point of view, we give him the opportunity. We brought him in. He's let the club down for a couple of seasons with his performance levels, with wanting to play for the club potentially. This season, he's rewarded us with some real good performances, some real good important goals, plenty of them. But then now you feel a little bit, as a fan, you feel let down a little bit because you feel as though that is he wanting to play? We don't know if he was available for selection against Millwall. We don't know if he wanted to come on, didn't want to come on. We didn't know what the team selection was going to be on Tuesday night. Did he want to play? Is something happening that we don't know about? But I think, like I spoke about last week, players have the power now, and unfortunately players can dictate if they play or they don't play. They can dictate they're there and now, and I think that's such a shame because supporters will have seen the team selection and being excited that he's going to come on. If we're winning, go and score another one. If we're losing, we've got him on there on the bench, and it didn't happen. But fans can't bring players on, and the frustration is that he didn't come on for whatever reason. Yeah, no, look,
maybe I'm too simplistic with this. Maybe I am. I did represent one of the Borough players, one of the senior Borough players in the Premier League days, and came to the contract renewal, and Keith Lamb was the chief exec at the time, and we went in and went, Keith, do you want to keep him? Do you want him to resign? If that's the case, what can you offer? What's your best? Put your best deal on the table, and we'll take it to the player. Is it not as simple as that these days?
It is 100%. I think,
or is the agent in this case doing what he's supposed to do? We're not criticising the agent because his job is to represent the player and get the best deal he can for the player. So, or is his agent really doing a job about let's tout him around now because he was the EFL top goal scorer, because he was the player of the season?
Yeah, his agent's doing a good job, but at the same time, unless he knows what's on the table for Middlesbrough, he doesn't know where to start. He doesn't know if that's going to be matched better by another club. You know, I mean, money in football in the minute for players and for good players, centre forwards is crazy, ridiculous. But Middlesbrough could still offer a better deal than Sheffield United. Middlesbrough could still offer a better deal than Lens. Middlesbrough could still offer a better deal than Ajax. You know what I mean? Unless they know what's on the table from every team. You know what I mean? And then it's down to the player to pick because he wants to play. He's guaranteed to play out on the Riverside. He would play week in, week out. He's our main striker. He's our main player. He's our best player. Would he go and play at Ajax? Potentially not. Would he play in the Champions League? Would he go to Sheffield United and play week in, week out in the Premier League? Possibly not. But then he's a Premier League footballer. He'd be on Premier League wages potentially. So it's a tough one from a player. He wants to play at the highest level. But you know, what I mean, I've got confidence in the manager, the club, the team that. If he stayed at Middlesbrough long enough and signed another contract, he would play in the Premier League with a red shirt on. Yeah,
a couple of more comments coming in regarding Chuba, and we do want to move on, absolutely. But hello to Maltz, good to have you with us, David, Joe, Damon. Carrick said we're in no rush to sell Akpom. The offer has to be right for him. I'd say 17 mil, then go get Cameron Archer. I said on this show. When did I say on this show? Was it the end of last season? It was the end of last season. I said 15 mil. That's what we need for him. My reasoning is, you know, it's a one-off season. He's not proved himself consistently at that level. So can he demand a 20 plus, £1 million? But saying that, Cameron Archer is valued by Villa at 20 million. So maybe I'm low, but 17 mil here and go and get Cameron Archer. Would Cameron Archer be a replacement for Akpom? They're different styles of
different style of player. For me, Cameron, it was probably better. Probably further ahead or coming out from wide. He scored different types of goals. He played well with Chuba, and I think to compare them both like for like is a very difficult thing for me. What I'd like to do is I'd like to find the best suitor for the club, and that would be get some money in the bank, look to get a player as well. You know what I mean? If that's a loan player from Sheffield United, fantastic. You know what I mean? Because we get a player for the full season, a Premier League player who's got the ability, who's probably played in the Championship at the time for when Sheffield United got promoted, or someone who's not in their plans for the foreseeable this season, or do the same thing from Ajax, get a couple of young players plus a little bit of money, because that way that we fill the quality on the pitch which we need, but we also get money to bring reinforcements in, which I think is important. You know what I mean? I think the club's got to be selfish now and look after themselves. Don't go for the biggest price tag, because we've all been there at the club when we've had a lot of money and there's been money flying around that people raise their valuation of their players, and we pay overpriced for a player who's probably not worth it. For me, would I go and spend 15, 20 on Archer? I don't think I probably would, because I don't think he's the answer to go like for like. You know, I'd prefer to look at other players elsewhere. You know, at the time in the summer, Pookie from Norwich City was available on a free transfer. For me, he's a proper 9. Go and get him and fill in gaps around him. Yeah. There's other options.
It's I mean, it's understandable, isn't it? Look, let's take it from a club's perspective. We've talked about the players' perspective, the fans' perspective. From a club's perspective, okay, you've got an asset here. You've got a saleable asset.
Yeah, totally.
All players have values of varying degrees. And this guy just happens to be hot at the moment. Yeah. You've got a year left on his contract. He's going to go for 0 at the end of it if you can't agree terms. Yeah. So I've got a bit of sympathy for the club. I mean,
listen,
they created the situation.
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
by giving him the chance.
Yeah.
He's taken the chance.
It's created a monster. The whole thing's created a monster.
But still, at the end of the day, the club's got to. Yeah. It's got to be sustainable.
Yeah, totally. Listen, Steve's a businessman. You know what I mean? And the business proposition at the minute is take £8 million now, or in 9 months' time. Not enough. Or 9 months' time, yeah, you take 0.
12,
you know
15.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, I think if we hang out towards a deadline, we'll get bigger money, because Sheffield United might not score in the first 3, 4, 5 games, so they'll panic, want to spend more money. Likewise, other teams around the world will. But if we take it now and he carries on that purple patch like he did last season, then the middle fans will think, why we only got 8, and it'll be a real business nightmare, really.
Yeah. I do have some sympathy for the club, I've got to be honest. Phil Batch, I agree. Akpom farce needs closing out, causing a disruption throughout the club. David's with us, Conrad's with us. Stu, good to have you with us, mate. He's going to send his address through. I can't even speak today, I'm that tired. Steve Taylor's watching, Lee's with us, Rob's with us, Paulie, Kofi, Curtis, Alan. Just want to give everybody a mention. Michelle, Dave, Damon's firing those points in. Talking about the new players, we'll come on to them. Mark, good to have you with us. Michael, Clive, Craig, Chris, Joel, Luke, Matthew, Dave, Mark. Blooming heck, fellas and girls, there's lots of you. I've got a comment on here from YouTube, actually. Just got to get there. Sorry, mate. Sorry to close it. We want to give people a chance on YouTube who are watching us live as well. Obviously, early days yet, and transfer window is key. I think there'll be big movements next week with Borough. Did Andy have any transfer day moves? And what goes on?
Yeah, I didn't move on transfer deadline day, but there was always things what we were rumbling on. I had a couple of loan moves around that time, which you know, I mean, you just get a phone call. You've got to move within the second. Teams want to get things done, make things happen. You know, I've known players who've come into training on deadline day and then never come back again because they've left. I've known obviously players come in, vast amount of players come in, and things what have obviously impacted my career at Middlesbrough was the Michael Ricketts one. Obviously Michael Ricketts and I think Malcolm Christie and other players came in on deadline day really late at Middlesbrough under Steve McLaren, and when you're there as a player thinking, it brought new centre forwards in, I'm not going to play, it has a real impact on you as a footballer. But the club, it's good movements, you know what I mean? So you can see good things happening, you know what I mean, as a Middlesbrough fan, but you look at things selfishly as a player, you know what I mean? If you're not a fan of that club and you're just there as an employee, it's very different.
Did Steve talk to you beforehand?
Not about bringing those players in. You know, I mean, he did speak to me and say that that he wasn't sure that the club was the right thing for me at the time. You know what I mean? He was looking at loan moves here, there, and everywhere.
Before those players came in.
Yeah, before those players came in. And to be fair, when I did leave, the loan window was available after the deadline when the deadline was anyway. So I did leave the week after, and to be fair, it was probably the final nail for me that those players were brought in. But listen, when you've got players of those calibre, England nationals, but both of them at the time, both very good footballers, both very good friends of mine as well. So it was difficult to not see a future at my football club. But I'm a footballer. I wanted to play football. So when you want to play football and you're not going to play football at a club, it's a no-brainer.
And
Really.
if you hadn't moved on, mate, you might not have scored a winner at Wembley.
I certainly would have scored a playoff final winner. Not for that football club anyway, because everything was written in the stars and everything happens for a reason. And listen, I didn't want to go, but I couldn't think of a better way to leave my football club with a goal against United, and you know, everything happens for a reason.
Actually, we were going to ask you a question, weren't we, at the start of the show? And we completely forgot. We get driven by the producers behind the scenes, and we were asked to ask the question: what was your first ever
goal for Middlesbrough?
Professional goal?
Yeah. So
for Middlesbrough.
Yeah. So my question, if people can answer it, people can see if they can get it, and I'll announce it at the end of the show. What was my first goal? Which competition was it in? What score was it in? And who was the opponents? And we'll give the answer at the end of the show.
So what was Cam's first goal for the Borough? You can win. No, these are clean. You can win a red radio mug.
Yeah. I'll give a clue. I'll give a clue, Dave. I'll give a clue. It wasn't too far away, so that was the only clue I'm going to give.
Oh well, I know what I'm guessing then, mate. Got to say hi to Stu Golly again. I think Tuba's staying. Okay, we've gone Tuba. We've done Tuba. Michelle joins us and she says, "I've been at work today. Is there any update on Latte Lat? Any update, Kofi?"
No update at the minute.
No update.
The left back, he actually is currently having a medical, apparently, Lucas Engel. So yeah,
Lucas Engel.
Looks like he could sign soon.
Currently, we did a look at these two guys and I had a look at their performances, though they are in completely different leagues to how the Borough played in the Championship last year. But their return, actually, their productivity is not bad. Both of the pair of them.
I think nowadays, the recruitment team do that much research on players. You know what I mean? These aren't just picked out of. We've missed out on Giles. You know what I mean? The backup is X, Y, and Z, and I think it's so important now that the recruitment team get this right, because we need the calibre of player who's fullbacks who can attack, fullbacks who have to defend because it's a job, and create things because the way that we play, and that's down to the manager, which is a fantastic philosophy and way that we are playing, that we need to build out from the back, and we need to get the ball wide to our fullbacks or wing backs, regardless of what formation we play in. I'm excited to see a new fullback, even though I thought Hayden's done okay for probably the 2 games that he's played, but I do think we need more.
Yeah, and you talk about playing from the back. It's been really good to see, and to be fair to Carrick, he held his hands up for that fatty that was dropped at Huddersfield, and he said that's because I'm telling them to do that, which is great from a manager.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, you're not a defender, you won't know, mate. You're always at the other end.
No.
You lose the ball, you've got midfielders and defenders and goalkeepers behind you.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that, and to be fair, Carrick's style of play attracted me back to the Riverside. I bought 2 season tickets this year. I was doing match by match last time. So it works.
Listen, you've got 30,000 people turn up for the first game. You know what I mean? They're not there just to hope that we have a successful season. They're there because they're excited by what they watch on a Saturday afternoon. They're there because everyone likes the way that we've started to play football. You know what I mean? And because we've had such a dire watch of previous managers over the last probably 5, 6, 7 seasons, that this is exciting now. It's fresh, it's exciting. We just want the club to be successful because we're all Middlesbrough fans and we're all got that heart and desire. We all bleed red of Middlesbrough, and we're just desperate for the club to have some success, but have it the right way as well.
They won't accept it, but even a Chelsea fan, the blue of Chelsea, cut them, they bleed red of Middlesbrough. I'm going to put you on the spot here because you've done a bit of managing as well, haven't you?
Yep.
What's your philosophy in how you set your team out? What sort of approach do you have? Are you solid at the back? Are you Kevin Keegan-esque entertainers?
I think I was probably a little bit gung-ho. I was a little bit more attacking than I probably should have been. It was more get the first couple of goals, but when that doesn't happen and you're on the back foot a little bit, your philosophy and my philosophy did change quite dramatically during the game, which probably isn't the right way to do it. And I think and that's why I understand. I'm not going to sit on this show or have a conversation with anybody and badmouth the manager, because the pressures on a manager and the way that a manager has to deal with in-game pressures, out-of-game pressures, you know what I mean, the media and things, and buy into get the players to buy into what they're trying to do is really difficult, and you've got to be so thick-skinned to be a manager, especially in 2023, because you're there to be shot at, especially someone who's had the career of Michael Carrick that he's had, such an electric career, Rolls-Royce career, to ruin that reputation as a player, as a manager, potentially. You know what I mean?
Have.
You know what I mean? Some have.
Some have.
And I look at that. The gaffer who gave me my opportunity, Brian Robson. You know that he did a great job at Middlesbrough, put them on the map. But did it end the way that he would have wanted and the players wanted? Like, bringing Terry in to get that help and get us over the line before he eventually stepped away and lost his job. It was a real hard thing to watch happen, you know, and unfold in front of your eyes, you know. So hat off to everybody who does it at that level, because it's so stressful and so.
What was it like as a player to watch that? Because you're aware of Robbo needed help at that time, and El Tel was a great foil for him. Absolutely great with the experience he had. But from a player watching it, what was it like?
That was hard. It was like one of your own family members struggling with something, you know, and that you whatever you tried to do to help out the situation didn't seem to get any better, you know what I mean? And only when Terry came in that Terry's ideas were fresh, new, everyone bought into it because the manager was still there, and we all pushed in the same direction, and we all got what we needed to do. But we knew that when that happens and somebody new comes in, the manager's days are numbered, really, you know what I mean? Because the whole club knows that it's geared by somebody else's decisions, and someone else is picking the team, picking the tactics, and it was a good time for the club, and they were great foil for each other. They were brilliant for each other. When Terry didn't know the answers, the gaffer knew them, and when the gaffer didn't know them, that Terry stepped in and took over, and it was brilliant. But Terry wasn't a long-term fix, and when he stepped away, the only decision was to bring a new manager in, really, which was disappointing. But
no, I love those. I mean, I was doing the commentary
fantastic
those
times.
days. That's where we got to know each other, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic era. I mean, you as Borough fans, the last time was 73, 74 with Big Jack.
Impossible to beat, replicate. I don't think, you know what I mean, without the success, you know what I mean. I think we deserved so much success at that time. We didn't get it. We nearly got it, but we didn't get it. And obviously Steve brought the success in. We've had some successful times afterwards, and that's probably my only regret, that the gaffer didn't bring any success that he deserved and the club deserved, apart from obviously winning the Division 1 title to get promoted.
Well, mate, we hold that record still for the shortest period of time between 3 successive major Wembley finals. So there you go. 2 in the League Cup, 1 in the FA Cup. 11 months. We beat Tottenham to that one. Ian James, if I was Middlesbrough, I would take a punt on Macaulay Longstaff from Notts County. He's a striker, probably would cost about £2.5 million. Thanks for that, mate. Stu Gawley's been back on. It was Stu, actually, who got me banned from that sofa, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Stu, be very careful, mate.
Fault, yeah.
He's saying, Dave, I know you're not happy. You can sign the shirt as well. Get in. I'll sign my autograph. Timmy, 3 of the clubs in for him, apparently. I think we're talking Tuber at that point. Oh, no, we're not, are we? We're talking Longstaff. Dan, good to have you with us. Damon. Sheffield. Hang on. Oh, he's answering your question. Okay, let's go for it. Damon LaRoche, Sheffield Wednesday, Cam's first goal.
No, that was my first game. That was my debut game. My debut game was Good Friday, live on Sky Sports at the Riverside. We beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-1. So that was my first ever game. I came on for Chris Freestone. Chris Freestone scored, and Jan Fjordhoff scored 2.
Jan.
Like, remember like it was yesterday. Yeah, it was a Sky Sports game, live game. I came on for the last 8 or 9 minutes.
Still in touch with you, Jan. It's a good lad. Brian, I think it's a bit of a wisecrack, this one, Brian, mate. Be laughing is a sign we'll sign these 2. Sorry, mate. What else we got here? Stu, Sunderland League Cup. Sunderland League Cup
League Cup is absolutely bang on.
He can't win 2 successive weeks.
No, he can't. No. There must be someone else who's got there first. There must be terms and conditions. Yeah, it was my first ever goal was the League Cup, but it wasn't. I don't think it was called the League Cup. It'll have been might have been the Coca-Cola Cup at the time.
When we won it was the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
the milk, the Little Woods. It's
the Worthington Cup. It's had every name under the sun. Yeah, but it was
at the Riverside.
Cup. Yeah, it's everything now. Yeah.
Brian's qualified where he said, "I'll be laughing if we sign these 2 players."
There you go.
Like it, good lad. Tracy, was Andy's goal against Sunderland, and was it a cup match? Not sure. What year? Probs late 90s.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So I made my debut 96, 97. So it'll have been the season after, which will have been 97, 98. Sunderland beat them 2-0. Packed house. Really good times.
Well, seeing as Stu's got me banned from the couch, he's not going to win 2 successive weeks. So does that mean Tracy's won the?
If Tracy can answer who scored the second goal, because I scored the first one. If she can get whoever scored the second goal, and I think I remember. Because I'm still on the pitch at the time, but she, I think
I have a clue now. Well in the
I think I remember it.
Tracy, one extra question: Who scored the second goal?
The second goal in that game.
Maisie, good to have you with us. Callum, Elliot, Georgie, different Georgie, John, Raymond, Ben, and Rye, different Rye. Finally got through them all. Let's look ahead. How long we go? Jeepers, we've been on 35 minutes, mate. Sorry. Let's look ahead. So, Coventry. As if we hadn't seen enough of them.
Yeah.
Will there be any hangover from what went on end of last season? Or, you know, is a month and a half off and brand new season enough distance to lose that rivalry, that familiarity, that whatever we created over the playoffs?
If we want to create a different and a special atmosphere to go down there, and we want to be hurting, it could be good for us. You know what I mean? They could be hungover because obviously they lost the playoff final, they lost the first game against Leicester. Obviously they won last night I think it was last night in the Carabao Cup as well. So I think we need to obviously make sure that we create the atmosphere, we create the game that we took down there in the playoff semi-final, because we dominated the whole game. In all fairness, we should have been 2 or 3 up in the first half. If we can attack them and they'll give us the ball. Mark Robbins' tactics were hit us on the break with the big Swedish centre forward, and it worked to a treat the way that they played. But obviously they've sold him on to Sporting Lisbon, so we've got an opportunity now to make sure that they haven't got the outlet. We can pin them back, we can create what we need to create, and we need to make sure that we get some points on the board, because the longer this rumbles on, the longer we go without any points or another defeat, it starts to create even more negativity, and I'm guessing if players don't leave or players don't come in, you know what I mean, then the pressure mounts on the club and on the manager.
And can I just take this opportunity to point out, Gyökeres was only the 2nd leading goal scorer in the Championship last season. What did he go for in the end? Would he go for about 15?
I think, yeah, well, and that's what we're talking about. You know, I know he's younger, I know he had more potential, I know he's done it on a consistent basis. He went to a really strong club who's got a history of developing players as well. So, you know what I mean? So you put all those factors in, you know what I mean? But you look at the stats and the facts that Akpom scored a lot more goals. Yes, he's got less contract left, so yeah, they decrease the value a little bit, but there can't be that much difference in valuation for me.
Can be.
I think he went for 19 million, Dave,
19?
but they reinvested nearly all of that on Ellis Sims and a few others. I can't cast my
The
name
dove from
over
above speaking, right? Thanks for that, mate. Kofi reckons he went for about 90. Our North East football correspondent reckons he went for about 19. We might have a couple of new faces. We might have one new face. Engel, as the left back, as is being rumoured, is undergoing a medical right now. So 24 years of age. 4-year contract has been reported for a fee of around about 2.5 mil. Be interesting to see if he does come in, how quickly he would slot in. The other one is Latte Lath, 24, also rumoured to be on a 4-year deal. It seems to be about the average now of what's done in these deals. But 8 different loans in 8 seasons. Does that? I don't know. Good thing, bad thing? It's a surprising stat there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think loans now are utilised, especially as a younger player. You know, it can be short-term loans, long-term loans. I think by the sounds of it, 8 and 24 years old, so you're probably looking at 6-month loans at each point. So it's important that he's probably got some experience in game time, which I think is key. He's obviously got the reputation. It'll be important for him to reinvent himself as a full-time player instead of all these loans. That's what I found important, that when I went to all the clubs on loan, that you can enjoy the time, but you're always going back to your parent club. It's where you sign for a long-term contract. The pressure then starts, because you're there, the expectations there. You've got to hit the ground running straight away. So it'll be really important for him to do that, and what better game to do it against a decent football inside of Coventry City on a TV game as well on Sky. So it's important. All the things are there for those kind of players to hit the ground running and start with a bit of positivity.
Yeah. And we are being linked with that. We've got to say these aren't confirmed deals yet, but it looks like Engel is the closer out of the two. But looking at Lath, the Swiss League's no mugs league, is it? The Swiss League's all right, and he scored 14 in 31 games last season.
Yeah. No, listen, I think any league in Europe now, you know what I mean, where there's competitiveness to get in the Europa League and the Champions League, and it's a hard thing to score goals. It's the hardest thing in the world to score goals. You know what I mean? Exactly. But look at Chuba. You know what I mean? Chuba's had a good season last season. Had a really good season last season. But for the past 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons in his own career at Middlesbrough and elsewhere, he struggled to score goals. So it's not as easy as people think. That sometimes you've got to be confident. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. You've got to have belief in your own ability. You've got to be playing for the right club, the right manager. There's all these things that got to be put in place. And if we can put the right players in the right holes, and we can give them the creativity and the opportunities, then we can start to move forward again.
We'll dig deeper into lineups, because you've given us your predicted lineup. You weren't too far off last week, by the way.
No.
Good man. You understand this game, don't you?
I do a little bit.
But we've got to give a plug on the Red Radio. which some may be listening to us at the moment live on the Red Radio. Tomorrow, 6 p.m, the legends, the three legends, are back on Northeast Airwaves and Teesside Airwaves. Well, Teesside Airwaves, our transmitter's not switched on yet, so you've got to listen to us digitally, online, via the website, via apps, via Alexa. It's just Alexa, enable the Red Radio, then Alexa, play the Red Radio. And now I'm probably setting off all the Alexas in people's households, I'm sorry. But yeah, Craig Hignett, a lad you know well.
Legend,
Higgy is the Borough legend. We've got Daz Williams, a lad you know well.
Yeah,
Sunderland legend, scored against the
Daz,
Borough sadly
legend.
in 97
Yeah.
beat us at the Riverside.
Let him off for that though.
And Lee Clark, I don't know if you know Clarky.
Yeah, Clark, he's another top lad. Yeah,
Newcastle legend.
Yeah, Newcastle and Sunderland legend because he's done well at both clubs. I know Sunderland fell out with it a little bit, but no, they're three very entertaining men as well. You know what I mean? Who've got a vast experience and they've got a love for their clubs.
Yeah.
You know, apart from Lee, obviously Lee's a Geordie and born and bred in those, but Higgy was obviously not a Middlesbrough lad, but fell in love with the area and fell in love with the club. And same as Daz. Daz is a Middlesbrough born lad and a good lad round here, but he's obviously got a love for Sunderland, so fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. So just give them a plug. 6 p.m. tomorrow across the Red Radio. And if anybody happens to be watching across the northeast to this very show, it's also on the Cat across Wayside and the Tune across Tyneside there on DAB Radio. Right, couple of quick hellos. Ben, good to see you. Which free agents catch your eye and who would you like to see come in this window? Anybody caught your eye?
Well, there was he's just left the other day, didn't he? So it was still Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley was just floating around, and he's, you know what I mean, he signed for Luton Town, and it's little things that if you go out there and you make a statement, you know, you can't wait for these players to go and find clubs. If you go and put an offer in for a player and it's appetising enough, people sign for you. You know, I look at Jesse Lingard. You know what I mean? They're these kind of players who are just floating around doing nothing. You know what I mean? Because yes, they don't need the money, but they're footballers at the end of the day. They want to be playing football. You know, there's that many people now who don't seem to want to play.
It's not a bad prize, is it? It's,
no.
You know, after what happened last year,
yeah.
Carrick in place, you know, it's a club that appears to be on a firm footing. Yeah. That's not a bad sell. It's not a hard sell to a player who's not got a club at the moment.
If you're playing and you're playing in front of 30,000 fanatical fans in the northeast, you know what I mean. The northeast is the best place for me to play football. You know, you've got absolute hotbed of football. You know what I mean. The desire around the area is fantastic. And why would you not want to go and sample those kind of atmospheres and buy into a project? You know what I mean. Because it doesn't need to be a long-term commitment by the player. You can go and reinvent yourself and then get sold and go to another club. So for me, I think players are missing the trick.
Yeah. Hi to Harrison. Hi to Ray. Damon, was it Janino? Second goal, Sunderland?
No, it wasn't. No.
Robert, higher. Stephen, higher. Matt, higher. Dan, higher. Damon, was it Craig Hignett?
It was Craig, yeah. It was Craig. Harrison crossed it in and Higgy scored the second goal. Yeah, I think it was quite late in the day. So yeah, it was Craig.
Yeah, like it. What's it like to score against Sunderland at the Stadium of Light?
I know, but there's no better feeling scoring against somebody, a team who you have a real detest for that's growing up, you know, and that's saying it nicely. You're brought up with your parents, with my old man and my brother who were anti-Sunderland and Newcastle, so it was nice to do it again in a real big stage.
Good. And just to complete the picture for Tracy, she's back on a little bit later. And she said, "Was it Higgy?" So she got it right.
She got it right, yeah.
So Tracy, send us a one-word message, please. T-shirt or mug? And if it's a T-shirt, we're going to have to find out what size. Sam, Rich, good to see you. What are the thoughts on the second round draw? Quick thoughts on Bolton?
Brilliant draw. I think you always get a team in the Championship who can go all the way. You know what I mean? You get a fortunate draw, or you keep getting home draws. You know what I mean? We've had two pretty difficult draws. You know what I mean? Huddersfield away is not an easy draw when they say early in the season. Bolton away won't be an easy draw because they'll see it as a chance to make an upset. It'll probably be a Sky game potentially. You know what I mean? Because there's an upset. You know what I mean? They're always looking for it. So, but for me, you look at it as a giant killing for me. Middlesbrough going to a lesser club. I think you'd have definitely taken it.
Yeah. Quick comment from Rob who's watching. Do you think it's harder as a North East club to attract players?
People talk about the area, don't they? And I think I find it really disrespectful. You know, I think 'cause when you're from here, we've got so many nice places. Listen, I've lived in Edinburgh, I've lived in Cardiff, and there's not nice places in both those two areas. Both of those cities are gorgeous cities, amazing places to live. But you've also got not nice places, and I think in the northeast, especially Middlesbrough, we do get a little bit of negativity of ICI and when they showcase what we're all about, and I think it's so disrespectful. For me, you come because what's on offer. And what's on offer is the stadium, the football club, the supporters, the training ground. Everything for a footballer here is given to them on a silver platter, and it's one of the best football clubs for me in football, because you've got the best chairman who's backed the club from where they were, from where they are now, and the stadium's second to none, and the training ground's probably one of the best, if not the best, in the Championship, if not one of the best in the Premier League now. You know what I mean? So for me, everything's a positive.
Yeah, great stuff. Just to finish on, looking at the game, Coventry, let's have a look at your lineup. Kofi, if you can stick the lineup, but obviously a big, bold statement, right, slapped right across it, mate. Silvera and Jones must start.
100%. I think from the negatives at the weekend, lacked pace, lacked any kind of creative and idea. And then for those two to both score on Tuesday night against Huddersfield and come in, for me, I do believe he'll start Rodgers. I don't think that if I was picking the team, I would do that. Hence why Michael's in a really good position as a manager and I'm not. So I think he'll stick with Rodgers, because I think he's waiting for him to score goals. He's waiting for him to do the right things, and he's waiting for him to do it regular. I think Piero does deserve a little bit more airtime, a little bit more game time. I think I'll stick with the other two in the middle. Riley came off the bench to score a goal, but he's 100% going to be a starter. Hayden deserves the opportunity, and the back four, unless we bring in any new players, and the left back can take Hayden's place. But like I said earlier on, I think Hayden did okay. In terms of, I thought he would have been really out of his depth. I thought he was pretty decent against Millwall. Wasn't as shallow as I thought maybe he would have been, because he's missed a lot of top level football. But no, I'm excited. It's a big game, but every game is a big game at the minute in the Championship. But Sunderland getting beaten with the weekend against Ipswich Town, Cardiff City dominating the game against Leeds, Coventry leading against Leicester for long periods till late. You know what I mean? So I think everyone can beat anybody. We just need to make sure we don't fall too far behind, because we've been here last season, that we had a bad run start of the season. We ended up losing our manager. We can't afford to be that far behind and playing catch up. I think there'll be a lot of teams beating everybody. I don't think there'll be one team flying out the blocks, so to speak. So I think we just need to be on the coattails of a lot of teams.
We've got to get some points.
Yeah,
that's the important thing. Just
yeah,
get them on the
totally.
board. Champion, just before we finish, just a reminder: it's Cam's Red Army. He's going to be in this very chair next week, because I'm not even here, mate. I'm in Japan, so you've got no chance.
It looks comfy.
I'd like to anchor myself down, but I've got to price myself out of it, and I'll never get back on that. Thanks to Stu Gawley, I'll never get on that couch. Pleasure, mate. Absolute. Good luck next week sitting here.
Thank you.
I'm sure the guys will look after you. We'll get some decent guests around as well, so you can chew the fat over footy. And 3 points coming back from Coventry.
That'd be nice. Looking forward to being on the main chair next week. But hopefully talking with the supporters about getting massive points on the board as well.
Brilliant.
My
Good
pleasure.
to see you, mate.
Top man.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and your comments. And who was it? Was it Denise? I forgot. I switched my phone off now. Denise, tell us, do you want a mug or do you want a T-shirt? He'll catch you next week. See you.